here we are. Whoa, look at that face. It's one of those like surprising, cool, man. I'm so glad to be here today. That's what it's like. It's like, oh, I get to have another moment of joy hanging with my brother, talking about what
Exactly.
we love the most, food, just generally being Italian, and of course, chiropractic. So, hence the name.
Pam Jarbo's father said, I was talking to him yesterday and he said, hey, I'm part of the FBI, full-blooded Italian. It was funny. So I was like,
Oh, that's awesome. You have a relationship with her father?
no, she was over her dad's house yesterday and we were just
Oh,
talking and he happened to be there. He's really funny. Pam's really funny. So I
oh,
get where,
Pam's hilarious.
yeah, so I get where she gets her sense of humor from. He's a really fun, really nice guy.
Oh, that's cool. Were they eating when you
Yeah,
had them
they
on
were
Zoom?
actually. She was in there and she brought over peach. It wasn't cobbler, peach like peach crunch. And he was we were like, how'd it taste? He goes, peachy. So
Yeah, of
it was fun.
course.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, that's cool. So anyway, we were sitting there, starting to have a conversation. I'm like, sure, we might as well put this on tape because something funny will come out. But I was thinking about what we wanted to talk about today. We came back from the boot camp and we were just kind of reminiscing on a couple of Chiro Mafia episodes ago where you were talking about your mastermind in Italy and you had them take a string, you had them cut the string with how much of that string, i.e., your life was left. And I remember
Yeah,
saying, well, what was their epiphany? It's like, shit, I got a short string. Because we
that
would have probably the shortest string.
that's correct. That
And then
is
I
very,
was
very
talking
true.
to, I was talking to my wife this morning because last week, I walk on the deep sand of the beach. I go swimming in the ocean, and so I noticed, man, I don't know, my freaking knee's bugging me. What's up with my knee? But of course, we don't stop because we charge at everything.
Sure.
So last Thursday, I'm training my legs real hard. I do a hard leg workout, and then I'm running the stairs afterwards, and I'm skipping steps. I step down on my left knee, and I feel my whole tibia shift
Oh,
out from under my femur.
uh,
I mean, it wasn't dislocated, but it was subluxated.
yeah,
And then out of sharp pain, man. I mean the fact my reflexes I'm pretty proud of because it hurt so freaking bad. I would have rolled down those steep cement stairs. I would have fell down and
yeah,
rolled
yeah.
down, but I happened to catch myself. And so this morning, it's like, how's your knee? And of course, so for 4 days, I'm trying not to put a bunch of weight on my knee. By the way, I got adjusted by a great extremity guy. Oh my God, man, it was like 1,000% better, of course.
Sure,
And I'm like, it's not bad. And she goes, well, how was your workout? Because I don't want to put a bunch of weight on my left knee because I want it to
sure.
heal, which means I'm translating to the right, which means yesterday my back was right now my back hurts. And then it's
Yeah.
like, and I go, I will never say this again, but I'll say it once. I'm going to be 64 in February, and today I feel like I'm getting old. And now just erase that from my memory, your memory, because I will never say that again.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck, man? I had an ACL replacement 25 years ago, and trust me, I have pushed my body. I mean, I put 12 plates on a leg press, 12 plates on each side for reps. Okay. That's like 1,100 pounds
yes,
and doing reps with it. So trust me, I've pushed my knee and never had a freaking problem
yeah,
until Thursday.
yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. That sucks.
Oh man, what's up? But it's getting better. Now I can actually walk on my knee, but my freaking back hurts. It's hard to get
Yeah,
up out
yeah,
of a chair.
exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I hear
so,
you.
but thank God we're chiropractors because all of that is temporary.
Exactly right. My dad had turned, I think he was in his 80s when I had this conversation with him. So he might have turned like 82 or 83. And, you always ask him, like, Dad, what's it feel like to be 83? And he'd say, it feels the same as I was 28. He says, but the difference is I'll wake up in the morning and he goes, and something will hurt really, really bad. He goes, but when I was 28, I knew exactly what I did that caused me to hurt. He said,
Yeah.
but now that I'm 83, I'll wake up and he goes, and something will hurt excruciating. And I'll get up and I'll go, it's hurting for no reason. Like I didn't do anything. He goes,
You
and
know,
I go, you know, do you talk to me about it? He goes, I never talk to you or anyone about it until 3 days goes by. He goes, I wait for 3 days. He goes, almost always 3 days goes by, it's totally gone. And I was like, what the hell was that all about? He says,
I tell this story and I'm going to make this story public. Brian Capra, we know Capra. We
oh yeah,
actually had him on here, right? And I see him at a seminar. It's probably like an elite seminar or whatever. And he's limping. I'm like, dude, what happened? He goes, I fell asleep on the plane. like he fell asleep and he
crooked.
woke up and he can't walk on his ankle.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, dude, you need to check your testosterone levels, man. You need to go get a blood test because you're wearing a skirt and you don't realize it yet.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
I
The
know.
things
It
I
was,
noticed now, I'm going to be 60 here in a few months, but and I do notice like there was days where I would grab something and I would never think about it at all. Like there wouldn't be a neuron in my brain that would be like, oh, let me be careful. Let me get help with this. And now I look at stuff and I strategize. Like, do I want to lift it? How am I going to lift it? Ooh, you know what? I better call my son and have him come over and help me lift it. I never used to think that way.
oh
It's
man, we don't want to carry things. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah,
Like move your house. Hell no.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm not moving my house.
Yes.
I'm not lifting furniture.
We
I
just did.
just,
We just moved to Florida, so we were in Italy for 4.5 months, and then we just got back, and then we shipped everything down in a container. I got some guys coming over, probably later this week, and then we're gonna unload the shipping container. So yeah, crazy,
yeah.
not
I
fun.
was, I was riding my motorcycle the other day, and it's about a 600 some odd pound bike, man. And a couple of years ago, I put it on a stand. So when I take it off the stand, because you don't want the tires to wear unevenly, especially when you're going 140 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But so I didn't realize the kickstand wasn't already down. So I let the bike down off the stand and it dropped. I'm like trying to stop it because
Oh, whoa,
yeah, like
yeah,
breaking the clutch handle. That's what happened. You know how
yeah,
much a clutch
yeah,
handle
yeah.
is? Like you think it's going to be $40. No, by the time you do that and then you have them replace it, it's like $200,
Oh,
and then the
easy.
mirror and then you scrape the fairing
Yes,
and
yes,
all that. It's like, oh my God. So I'm like, shit, I gotta deadlift this thing, man. So it's like doing a 600-pound deadlift.
exactly.
So I lifted it, but since I sprained my knee, I'm like, I checked that kickstand 3 times before I lay my bike over, pull over at a gas
Exactly.
station. I kicked that kickstand forward like 5 times because there's no way in hell my knee hurts and my back. I ain't doing it, man.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. So
It's fun.
anyway,
Anyway,
so I was thinking about what we would talk about today, and I'm like,
yeah,
you know, and then I was thinking, I show this slide, and you get this, and I know a lot of people will get this. I show this slide with 2 pictures at the boot camp. And one of them, it's like looking at this valley of the woods, and there's mountains on either side. And about a half a mile up, there's this huge rock. It's probably like, I don't know, hundreds of feet tall with a waterfall going off. And you're looking like from 1,000 feet, like an eagle, like that's the destination. I'm starting here, and now I'm going to pick the best path straight as possible to get from where I am through the woods to the destination. So, what's that a metaphor for? That's your purpose. What type of patient do you want to create? What do you want to create? And so, what we teach in Elite from 1,000 feet, if you're trying, and this, if you're trying to create a patient, you're going to get them one at a time. You're not going to build one at a time. That's why people get
right,
stuck because you're trying to close a patient.
right,
And then you create a patient, and then you have to educate on bringing your kids in, and some do and some
right,
don't. And
right.
then you talk to them for a year, but then you give up because you didn't say the right thing. So when people say, well, I talked to this guy for 2 years and he still won't bring his wife. And I'll say, how many times you talked to him? I don't know, like 12. I go, well, what you learned was 12 things that didn't work.
Yeah.
So why don't you say something different? And that's the
Exactly.
difference between patient education, changing belief. So anyway, the waterfall isn't creating a patient, it's breaking a generational pattern. So rather than look for health problems, look for health patterns, because hypertension is a pattern. A weakened immune system is a pattern. So then it's, where are they on the timeline? So we were role playing an ROF. And here's the thing, if you're trying to create a patient, you don't even hear that your patients are talking in generational patterns. You don't even hear it because you're trying to create one
Right.
rather than get 10. And I remember the day that I said, I can never build the culture or movement that I want one at a time. I have to do it 10 at a time. And it wasn't going to happen from marketing, because then you got 10 less qualified people.
Right.
And so when I understood breaking gender, and I started looking at health patterns. So we were role playing ROF, and the girl, and you know how when you're role playing, you're actually talking. Their people are telling you their stories, so it's like it's a live
Yes.
situation. The girl
Scenario for
goes,
sure.
"Yeah," the girl goes, "Well, I have scoliosis, and I got it from my mom." Now the people around watching are learning a system, right? So I'm like, "Stop!" I probably had, there's multiple coaches, so I probably had 10 chiropractors in my group. I go, "Stop! What did she just say?" Maybe two would repeat it. Of course, the other eight could be too scared because I don't want to get it wrong. But some, when you're trying to create a patient, you didn't even hear that she said her mom has a scoliosis. So, what would a person trying to get one person, what would they say? Well, you don't want to end up like your mother. And that makes sense. There's an emotional hook. What was my first question? Does she live in the area?
Right.
Do you have any aunts in the area? Do you have sisters? Why? Because scoliosis is 7-1, girls and boys. Do you have daughters? Do you have nieces and nephews? Do they live in the area? This is a pattern. So then it turns out, this last thing I'll say about this, the mom has MS. What a surprise. The daughter has autoimmune. The kid of the daughter has allergies. They're all the same problem. They're just on different
Levels, timeline,
levels of the timeline.
manifestation of the sickness and disease. Exactly.
That is a pattern. But because I'm at 1,000 feet looking at the waterfall,
Exactly.
then I'm saying, do they live in the area? Look at the pattern that we see. And here's the question I ask: do you believe, knowing what you know now, the fact that spinal cord is the energy, in your body, and that's your lifeline, do you feel that what you learned so far gives you the purpose that you can break this pattern? Absolutely, was her answer. Now you just got 8 referrals, not, you didn't just create a patient. Now, if that's a pattern, do you think she's going to want to bring her spouse?
Right.
Oh, by the way, which child is just like your husband? He's bringing a pattern too. You're bringing one, he's bringing one. These are your kids.
Right.
Oh, Mama Bear is bringing dad to the ROF. She's bringing him to the workshop. She's bringing him in the next visit. She's going to want to bring all 3 of her kids in. She's going to go talk to her aunts. She's going to talk to her brothers and sisters that have nieces.
Right.
Yeah, you get like 8 referrals in the first week.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. If you look at each person as 6, if you look at each person as 10 people, they're going to have a connection of separation. So how many people, who do you love and care about? Like, who's in your circle that needs to be here, yeah, 100%. But it
Well, and
comes
those, and
looking
you
at it
can,
that way.
I'm sure people ask those questions, but when you're starting with day one
Right.
and you're talking about not a health problem, but a health pattern,
Yes.
gives them purpose and brings them, like, you got to get a person out of the forest, man. When you can bring up to
Right.
1,000 foot view and they can see the waterfall, you're not getting them one at a time. So now
Right.
that the people that learn this, on the coaching calls the last 2 weeks, they're getting family members 3 and 4 at a time,
Right. Right.
not one at a time.
But that's, and you know this, right? So we're talking to our community here, but it's getting the doctor to look at it that way. It's getting the doctor, Curtis Fedorchuk, who we both know, he did an epidemiology study and basically involved the SF-36. So he's taking people under chiropractic care for a long period of time, and he was evaluating SF-36. So you got the Caltera study, along with several other studies where they put people under chiropractic care, and they're measuring SF-36. It's not back pain, it's not sciatica, it's psychology, social
Yeah.
structure,
Emotional
independence, as
structure,
you know,
activities,
emotional,
daily
all of it,
living.
all of it.
Oh, yeah.
And every single person was
Elevated.
getting better. It's like, there was varying degrees, but everyone was getting better, So when you look at it that way, like, I'm looking to make humanity healthy, I'm looking to make a difference in humanity, and maybe that starts with a community, maybe that starts with a family. And maybe some of you guys out there, you're starting out, you're a little nervous, your confidence, your clarity isn't right there. So we get it, okay, you're starting off one at a time, but the faster you can jumpstart this and start thinking like Fred's talking about, now all of a sudden, again, you're looking at each person as a family, you're looking at each person as a community, and then how you talk, what you talk about, what you discuss is so much more global, it's so much more inclusive, that they stop looking at me and they start looking at, okay, what can I do to bring my family in? Because again, you're repositioning their belief and value system. So
Well, and there's
that's
two things on that. One, hey, is it great to get a family? Absolutely. And
yes,
can you have a family for years? Absolutely. But what if you have an immediate family and then their niece or nephew is getting vaccinated? Or
right,
now, because of the immune system problem, maybe your family's okay, but now you have an aunt with cancer.
right,
What conversation do you want to be having at the next Thanksgiving dinner?
exactly.
You know what I mean? Because they're still carrying that pattern. The pattern goes through generations. So if you really understand chiropractic and your vision is to change healthcare, then you want their family tree.
Correct.
Are you really breaking a health pattern if you just have an immediate family? You might in that family, but now their cousins get leukemia.
Right.
Their cousins their aunts or uncles get the COVID vaccination and then die of a heart attack or stroke. And they're so close.
Yes.
They're so close,
Yes.
but you were thinking one at a time. You were
Yes.
satisfied with an immediate family.
Yes.
And then you
Correct.
think, because one thing we do is we go through 7 belief systems, and the goal is change their beliefs, right? So one belief system people are happy with is this person's coming for the health, they're coming for lifestyle, but they're doing it for themselves.
Right.
So look, I had back pain and then I found out my ulcerative colitis went away, but my kid doesn't have back pain and he doesn't have ulcerative colitis. And when they get sick, maybe they get them adjusted, or maybe if they're not a patient, we just take them to the pediatrician.
Right.
Those people, you think they get it, they don't get it.
Correct.
They
They don't
don't
get
get
it.
it. Yeah,
Zero.
because your view is limited. You are satisfied.
Correct. Correct. They don't get it. That's why anytime somebody says that, I say, would you does your kid have really bad teeth? The tooth decay? No. Do you bring him to the dentist? Yeah. Why? Why? Because the tooth decay, or so he doesn't get tooth decay? So why would you wait till he gets ulcerative colitis before you go, hey, maybe I'll bring him to the chiropractor? When would have been a better time for you to go? What would have been a better time? What's the soonest? What's the most valuable time? What's the best time for your family? So, but again, that's thinking, I remember sitting at your event and Chris Zano was speaking, and he came over to me and he said, hey, Joe, he said, like what you're thinking of chiropractic, like, you know, what's your thought? I said it's a requirement and a necessity. Like, I don't think people think that way, you know, and I think the more we as a profession could elevate our thought that way, the more impact we're going to have. Like, if it's a requirement and a necessity to get care, then everybody needs care. So I'm looking at everyone to get under care. I'm not looking like you're saying, I'm not chasing conditions. I'm not an ambulance chaser. I'm looking, everyone that's alive needs to be under chiropractic care, like
for the
every
rest of their
single
life.
person. Right. So if you look at it that way, then how you even talk, how you communicate, how you start your day, how you end your day, how you work through your day, every interaction is different because I'm looking at everyone needs care, not who has the worst symptomatology in your family, who's in health crisis that I can get and talk you to coming in to get care. Like, it just changes that whole paradigm.
Well, and there's two things that you're saying, but not saying directly. And one is, there's people that want lifestyle. Like the two, and I'd be curious because you probably get this too. There's two reasons people call. One, they're frustrated because patients quit and they really want families and generations over healthcare. And the second thing is they want freedom because they have to work in their practice. Like if you're lower than really an 80 PVA, then you're not totally referral based with family
Yeah, you're
members,
stressing out.
you're working.
Right.
And how many I mean average PVA I think is between 12 and 18 in the
Right.
profession.
Terrible.
Yeah, now I'm sure if you're listening to this, you have some purpose, so yours probably more, but even if it's 40 or 50, I mean, I remember having a 40 PVA and I was rebuilding my practice every 3 months.
Correct. New people. I remember
Yeah.
having a two. I think I started with a two
Yeah.
PVA.
First time I did my PVA it was 19, and I'm like, no way, because every chiropractor wants to think they're making more. You don't understand. I have children. Can't be 19 PVA.
Right, right.
Then I do the math because office per week divided by new patients, right? And I do the math 19, do the math 19. After 3 times, I'm like, it's not 19. I couldn't accept it. I had to do the math 5 times and stare at it and go, shit,
I
I have a
suck.
19 PVA.
I suck.
People don't
That's
want to
good
look.
though, because that comes to the identity, right? You self-identify as 100 PVA, which is good, you know,
Yeah.
and the reality doesn't match your self-identity. So better to change the reality than change your identity, you know. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, that's when people say, well, I have a 50 PVA. If I count the 5 out of 10 that commit,
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
doesn't count. There's actually
right,
groups that do that, right? They don't count the people that don't commit. Well, that's the effectiveness of your day one.
right, exactly. No, your
Well, you don't
PVA,
understand.
that's the government trying to work us out of a recession when they say we're not in a recession because they changed the parameters in which they define a recession. It's so funny. That's
I
what we
heard this
do.
thing. There was this old MD, this woman. Well, not she was old. She looked like she was in her late 70s. And she goes, 30 years ago, 375 was normal cholesterol, right?
Right.
That's pharmaceutical companies,
Yes.
changing the parameters, right? So
Yes.
my mom's on statins. Those are for cholesterol, right? I don't even keep up with
Yes.
drugs, and she's been on it for years. I'm like, Mom, some livers produce normal cholesterol because she's about 375 if she doesn't take her drugs. And so I'm like, when I was a kid, that was considered normal. Why do you think it's getting as low as if you're above like 130 now?
Yeah. It's
They're
insane.
recommending, yeah,
175.
yeah,
Stupid.
like that isn't even healthy. Like you need more cholesterol. And that's another thing. They're saying statin drugs are partly responsible for the increase in Alzheimer's because you
Yes.
need cholesterol to create the
Correct.
myelin sheath
Correct.
that conducts nerve impulses. So I
Yeah.
told her that, and my mom was an RN, so I'm like, Mom, here's the deal. Like, you really need, and she's 87. It's like she'll drink her martinis. I'm getting off those drugs. All right. And
Good.
she's like, I don't even care if my cholesterol goes up. She's like, I don't want this world ain't going in the right place. But here's, and I
Hey,
said, here, I
Mafia.
was talking to my sister. I go, here's what you won't do. Like some people, when they give up on life, she stops eating. No, my mom will not stop eating. She'll just fall asleep
She ain't
and
gonna
die.
end herself by eating. I get it.
Oh, she's gonna fall asleep and die in a full stomach. Trust me.
That's cute.
Yeah, she's gonna die in her most joyful moment, man, on a full stomach.
Yeah, yeah, that's
That's
funny.
the truth.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's it. It really is changing that. It's changing the position. So you talk about your 7 steps to change belief. Like that's, the chiropractor. There's a great quote by BJ where he says that the chiropractor's job is to change the belief system of the practice member, but he needs to first start off with himself because the chiropractor
absolutely.
themselves haven't gotten the big idea. So that's the that's the challenge. The bigger, and I get it. I was there. I mean, I remember being very medical. I remember I went into chiropractic school as a very kind of a subluxation based principal doc. Not that I had it all figured out by any means, but the doctor that I had seen, he was just phenomenal. And then I went to national and good people, but they had a totally different agenda. So they're there trying to make you a medical doctor, and then you come out less of a chiropractor than when you went in, and then it's kind of finding your way back. If I didn't have that foundation, I never would have found my way back because there wasn't a back to go to. So at least I had a place to go to. And when the right people showed up and I was ready to listen, and it was only through those struggles that, hey, listen, you start listening, and then that was a journey. And the longer I practiced, the more principled. I don't even know if that's the right word, but the more I looked at my involvement was to remove what was being blocked or interfered with, as opposed to I wasn't the instrument that was healing or treating. I was merely the instrument that was removing interference that was allowing the body to heal. And there's a big difference, because if I'm in
Oh
there
yeah.
treating, I start evaluating what I'm doing and what my value is, what my goal is, what my functional. When I'm there to care for them, then I care for my teeth twice a day. I don't get up and go, do they hurt or they don't? I start evaluating, is it the toothbrush, is it the flossing, which one should I do more of? Like, I don't do that. I just get up and spend my 2 minutes and take care of the teeth, right? And the same idea as a chiropractor. Hey, you got to get in here once a week to check. And it may be different areas at times, but 80% of the time it'll probably be the same area, to check and remove that compression. To reduce it is probably more accurate, because you're not going to remove it, but to reduce it to allow the body to heal the way it's supposed to and express itself the way it's supposed to. And the more you start thinking like that, they start thinking closer to that. But if I go in and go, hey, how you feeling today? Where are you hurting today? Let me treat you. Let me adjust you. The more I start chasing where they hurt and applying my adjustment where they hurt, only where they hurt, based upon where they hurt, man, you're hurting your practice. You don't even know you're doing it, but you are. You're doing it. You're hurting it.
Well,
So
you said something. Um, if people really get this, like say, well, what did I have to do? I didn't have to change anything. The truth is the truth is the truth. Chiropractic universal law, right? You got to have energy to physical matter, man. And even matter has an energy level. So what has a certain vibrational frequency. Why does chiropractic heal? Because you bring a higher frequency, a higher energy, and the nervous system is consciousness. You
yes,
bring a higher consciousness to physical matter, you raise that vibrational frequency to the level where disease doesn't exist.
yes,
And that's why every disease known to man has been healed by someone changing their mind.
yes,
Because the nervous system actually is consciousness, and that's a universal law. Now, so the thing is, when you look at how do you build a big practice, you have a pure message. You let go of all the other stuff. And if you look at what you just said about the person's teeth, well, do you take your kid to a dentist? Yeah. Why? Because I don't want his teeth to rot. Right. So what you're doing is, you're telling a story which ends up changing their paradigm by association. That's
yes,
actually a thing in neurolinguistic programming. Sorry, tongue twister. NLP. That's why they say NLP, it's a tongue twister.
Exactly.
So because you're taking something that's familiar and you're associating unfamiliar with familiar, now they become together, they wire in the subconscious mind, becomes a belief system. That's how you work, right? So the thing is, if you just get rid of all the education, all the knowledge, and you just speak the truth from your heart, health is energy. The foundation of every health problem is an energy problem. That's true. Cancer is an energy problem. Autoimmune is an energy problem. You know, that's something. Somebody has an autoimmune disease. I go, well, that means if you have autoimmune, you know, that means your immune system is attacking your own body. Would you say it's very confused? Does seem like a confused. Where do they get that message from? Why is and this is real basic, why is it so confused? Because it's getting the wrong energy,
Exactly.
getting the wrong information, man. Your own nervous system is telling it to do something that will kill you. Do you
Correct.
see that as a problem?
Exactly.
Would you like to give it the right information than the wrong information?
Yes.
Yeah, because at some point you didn't have an autoimmune disease. So what happened where all of a sudden that fast, and I would do that like a trauma, that fast, started getting the wrong information. Maybe you're following the pattern of someone else in your family.
Right.
So, you know, it's like if you just get rid of all the other thoughts and just simple and straightforward,
Correct. Don't
you're
own
gonna
it.
you're gonna
Go
double your
ahead.
practice. Yeah, and
Right.
then yeah, own it
Right.
with conviction, with
Yeah.
purpose.
Don't own the outcome. Don't own the responsibility of making them in your metric or their metric for that matter better. You know, I feel better, I don't feel better. Like if something's good for you to do, then you do it, right? I
Right.
mean, so I mean, I brush my teeth. It's you know, I always go to the analogy of dentistry, but like if you went to the dentist and you go, hey doc, listen, I've been coming in here for I don't know about 10 years since I moved to Florida, and I've been coming in every 4 months, get my teeth cleaned, and my brush and flossing. I'm a little disappointed because my migraines aren't gone. You know, my migraines haven't gone away, or my ulcerative colitis hasn't cleared up, or my sciatica is not gone. Like the dentist is going to look at you like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? I'm not here to take care of your migraines. I'm here to take care of and healthier teeth. Like so they're not attached to that. And I think sometimes we feel like, we need to be the doctor to everything. We need to know everything. We need to be responsible for everything. And the reality is, like you're saying, it's a principle. There's no healthy crooked. If your spine's stuck or crooked, it's going to interfere with an expression of energy, expression of intelligence, force, and then the body can't work as well as it's supposed to. So that's always good to remove. It's
Yeah.
always good. It's never good to be subluxated. It's always good to be less subluxated. So if you just own that, like, is my migraine going to go away? I don't know, but let me ask you: was your X-ray straight or crooked? I mean, so if your migraines don't go away, is it good to be walking around like that? And is it going to lead to other problems? Like, just own what you own the idea and the theory and the principle of it, express it and allow
Totally.
it to be global for the world. And again, you just start to change. And I'm saying the same thing you're saying, Fred. You start to change how you look at the world, how you talk, how you communicate, how you're interacting. It's a participatory consciousness, a universe. And all of a sudden, through your energy transfer, through your conscious change, through the communication, through your posturing, through the questions you ask, through the conversations you don't have anymore, through the
Right.
questions you don't have anymore, all of a sudden
Right.
you're like, wow. I know a lot of people listening have had that experience. Like, holy cow, we got to like 6 new ones today or 6 new ones this week. Like, I don't even know what happened. I don't know what's going on, but you
Right.
do know what happened. There's a shift in you, and therefore how you're interacting with everything is different, and therefore everything's different.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, when I first came out, and so many chiropractors do this. It's like the workshop was, well, here's the 5 pillars of health, and we finished with fifth pillar. And then I remember thinking, what do I really want to tell them? And then I don't know, it's probably a video or something I heard. And then it was like, you know what? I'm going to be great at one thing. I'm just going to be the best chiropractor in the world for me
Right.
and for every patient that walks in. And when you do that, your focus becomes so narrow
Yes.
and
Yes.
laser sharp. Like if you want to be something for everyone, and I believe in nutrition, and I believe obviously you have neurology and chemistry, right? That's health.
Sure.
So we hired this guy, dark field microscopy, whatever, and they go, "Well, Doug, what do you think about this?" Talk to Steve. His name was Steve. All right, let me. That was it. Talk to Steve. Hey, Doug, what? Talk to Steve. Talk to Steve. Talk to Steve. This is what we do. We get the energy. If you got a chemistry problem, talk to Steve.
Exactly. Can I ask you a question? Totally. Was that your wife leaving that you just said, "See you later, love you"?
Yeah.
You didn't ask her what time dinner was, and you didn't ask her if
Yeah.
the laundry was done before she was leaving? You didn't ask her
Yeah.
that?
If the laundry was done, the bed was
Time's
made.
dinner. You finished the laundry? All right, you're allowed to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my mother didn't have a driver's license. I kid you not. I think she was 52. I think she was 52 when she got her driver's license. And then
Wow.
much of my father's family, especially the women, they didn't have a driver's license. And even some of the guys that came from Italy, they literally did not have a driver's license. It was crazy. My
Because they
dad said
walk everywhere.
the relationship and marriage with my mother really took a stressful turn when my mother got a license, because my mother was like, "Oh my God, I'm free. I can go do shit." And my dad's always like, "Where are you going? Why are you putting miles on the car? What do I got to fill up the tank? I used to get a month out of the gas. Now I got to fill it up every week. Where are you going? Where are you driving? What's
Yeah.
going on?" Oh, it's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So anyway, yeah. So when you clear out everything else, then you'll see generational patterns. Your
Yes.
message will
Yes.
change and people will respond differently in your practice. Like say, well, where'd all these people come? It's like because you think differently, you say different things, and then more people start coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like they're dropping out of heaven, man. All of a sudden there's,
Right, right.
referrals
They're
are
always there.
three.
They've been there. But like Jim Rohn said, you attract it. You attract it by you being different. Then you become a magnet. You attract it, and it doesn't seem that way, but that's ultimately that's really the way. That's really the way it works. There was a great study. It was 2009, Annals of Medicine, and it was mechanical biology. I believe the study was mechanical biology, but they were talking about forces on the cell structure. So when they changed mechanical forces on the intercellular matrix, the structure of the cell itself, what it changed was the expression, the genetic expression of the cell. So again, that's familial. So if some of us remember our genetics, you're making these changes within the cell, and then what happened with the fruit flies and the mice and all that, they would often pass that change, we don't even want to call it a mutation, that adaptive change, good or bad, to the next generation. So number one, a lot of people are coming in sick, like you're saying, because it's generational. Number two, you could change the health of the generation by getting you adjusted. And that means mechanical right in the office with mom who's pregnant. That means dad. We did a couple of studies talking about sperm count, quality of sperm, health of sperm, genetic material of sperm, how that was all healthier when the body was out of a state of stress. We were also talking about the same idea. There was some research on the uterus and the health of the uterus. No shocker, right? Out of stress, cortisol levels are lower. So obviously what we do lowers cortisols, lowers excessive sympathetic changes. And then these people are healthy, genetic expression is healthy. So you're making changes mechanically, which is changing the genetic expression. You're making changes from an energetic standpoint, which is expression, intelligence, and force. And it's always good to be adjusted. It's always good to get care. So the more you think that way, again, you change, and then how you interact with the world changes, and therefore your world will change. Same thing Fred's saying in different words, but same idea. So
Yeah, we have a slide of a study. Greg Braden goes through this. Smart dude, man.
yeah,
But the U.S. Army did a study and they scraped DNA from the mouth of a person. They put the DNA in another room, and then they had the person change their moods while they studied the DNA under microscope. And this is epigenetics, right? You can change your DNA by emotions. What's that mean? People are coming in with these diseases. That's one of the reasons it's familial. It's not that it's genetic, but that means emotion can change your DNA. They
Absolutely.
watched the DNA change, and then they moved it, and then they did one from LA to Phoenix. It was like 400 miles, and they shipped it over there, and then they did it There was an instantaneous change with the mood of the donor to the DNA in two different cities. So when you look at okay, so generational patterns. Well, they're belief systems. And this
Right.
is why every disease known to man has healed when you change your mind,
Yes.
you
Right.
know? And then also what they showed was when you are in a higher state, when you're walking in with unconditional love, when you're not trying to create a patient or trying to close a patient, there's an underlying energy in there when you're trying to close a patient. But when you know, look, this is done, I want to break patterns. I'm going to show you a pattern in your family and I'm going to give you inspiration. The healing has already begun. And
Right.
they showed that a person under stress, their DNA will tighten. A person under love, their DNA loosens and expands because we know that already. So you transfer when you're in a state of peace, total acceptance, unconditional love, and you're changing beliefs. One, the healing's already begun. Two, that person's going to commit by your state, not by what you say.
Correct.
So that's what we say. We teach chiropractic and sometimes we use words. And if we are going to use words, it's going to be to change beliefs.
Right. Yeah. Because when you walk in and like literally the idea they need care and I'm trying to solve the problem of you not getting care. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'm trying to solve the problem. You're not under care. Let me solve that problem. But like, it's not because I'm treating you. You're not under care. So I have to solve it. And I got to do it through love and patience, communication. I got to work on me to make sure I'm in a good place. Like we're talking about energy transfer, my emotional state. We want to be great communicators. We want to be great listeners. That's the difference. And it's subtle in
But
in
it's world
right.
changing.
It's subtle and it's logistical, but it is monumental in its effect of your practice. So, yeah,
Absolutely, man. And if you miss that, he says he's not trying to get them under care. He's
correct.
trying to figure out why they're not under care.
Why aren't you under care? Everyone is
Yeah,
under care. Why aren't you brushing your teeth?
there's
Why
something you
are
don't
you not
understand.
eating good? Why are you 150? No offense, I'm not, but why are you 150 pounds overweight? Why aren't you exercising? Why are you miserable? Like, why? Because it starts with the idea, if you start with the premise that you're supposed to be healthy and you're supposed to be well connected with good expression, good nutrition, good physical movement. If you start with that, then everyone that doesn't fit that, why aren't you? That's the
Doesn't
problem.
make sense.
Right.
Like that's the whole thing is simple confusion. And that's it. I always say, what's the best way to handle any objection? 3 letters, one word. Why?
Right.
Just right. Try to understand rather than
Right.
being understood. I
Right.
mean, if you can't handle why, if you don't know what the objection is, how the heck can you handle it?
Correct. Correct. It's time and money. Then you got to find value and beliefs and, you got to
Yeah,
nudge them.
it's
Yeah.
value and beliefs. It's not time and money.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. We
So
did,
anyway,
there was a great example. It was, we use a lot in, our talks, but and it's about that motivation because you and I are talking about it, and I know there's docs listening, and they're either like, yeah, that's easy for you to say, or I've tried it, or I've talked to, like you said, I had talked to somebody 12 times, they didn't come in, and my view is I never stop. Someone would ask me, how many times you
right.
call somebody? Forever. I mean, how many times do you talk to somebody about, like, forever? Like, I don't have a timeline like, okay, I'm going to ask Fred 12 times. And if it's a no, then I'm done. Like, that doesn't even enter my mind. My mind is, hey, Fred, today the day, is today the day we're getting you checked? Man, I woke up today. I was excited. I realized you're going to be in here because today's the day you're going to get checked. I did that with Nelson Wright. My God, I think it was 17 years before he came in. But, we did this example. If there was a hotel, let's say there was a hotel, and you there was a $10 million in a suitcase, right? And I said, hey, Fred, listen, there's 1,200 rooms in this hotel. You got to go chronologically. You got to go numerically. You got to go in order from 1 to 1,200. It's in one of the rooms. I'm not going to tell you which room. I'm not going to tell you where it is. You got to spend time and look around the room, and you can't go back to the room. You can't go back to the room. So if it's in room 1 and you miss it, it's all. You're going to go numeric, and I'm going to let you go. You're going to have all the time you want. You're going to hit each room and go. So most people are going to start with some, piss and vinegar. They're going to be like, oh, let's go, man. We're going to get a suitcase of $10 million. So you go room after room after room after room. And I don't know what number it is, and it'll be different for everybody. But all of a sudden, you might get to room 300. You might get to room 70. You might get to room, 800. And you're going to go, wait a minute, am I being punked? Is this bullshit? You're going to lose all of your inspiration, you're going to lose all of your motivation. In fact, I'm telling you, the majority of people, probably 90% at some number, will give up and go, fuck it. This is bullshit. There's no money. This guy, they start questioning, well, really, why would somebody put $10 million? This is baloney. I'm not going to do it. Now, same situation, but if I said, hey, Fred, behind room 772, there's a suitcase with $10 million. However, you have to go to every room numerically and spend 8 minutes in every room until you get to that room 772. The whole game, same situation, but the whole game changes. Your mindset's totally different, because now as you go along, before you're getting demotivated, right? You're losing enthusiasm. Now,
Yeah,
with every
because you lose
passing
certainty.
room, you're going, holy shit, exactly. You're like, oh my God, I
Well,
can't
that's
wait.
like
I'm at
looking at the
600. I
waterfall.
only got 100 more rooms to go.
Yeah, and you're counting them down. That's like looking at the waterfall metaphor.
Correct.
It's
Exactly.
already done. And that's the
Correct.
thing, even with elite clients, and I did the same thing with patients. When your core value is to build lifelong relationships, I'll meet somebody
Correct.
and maybe they'll, well, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Well, now, I'm moving. Blah, blah. Okay, 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 whatever. And then 2 years later, so I'll stay in touch with them. And I go, dude, I've been waiting for you for 3 years. Or you get some people like they'll coach, they'll grow, and then who knows, man? Well, I had 2 kids and la la
Right.
la. Life
Everything
happens.
got in the way.
Everything else got in the way, but I stay in touch with them. Not all of them, but I mean some.
Sure.
And or even if I don't, they'll call me 2 years later and go, dude, I need to get back. And I go, man, I've been waiting for you for 2 years. Like I
Exactly.
said, and periodically, maybe you give them a call or whatever. Hey, just checking on you. You see them at a seminar.
Absolutely.
You give them a hug, total loving relationship, because we build lifelong relationships, but they don't
Right.
ever leave our mind.
Right.
And I don't have to talk to you to be thinking about you,
Correct.
because the core value is we're in it for life.
Correct.
Our paths may be a little different along the way, but I'm sure they'll come back together again.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the core value.
It is about creating a relationship. That's exactly what we say. I'm trying to have a relationship with you and your family and your significant community for life.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I'm here for. I'm gonna have a relationship with you and your family and your core community for life. So my interaction with you is going to certainly always have that at the forefront in
Oh,
my
absolutely.
interaction all the time. So
Well, when I gave a workshop, I would tell people after, okay, now that you got through this, now you got it's lifestyle and we're going to be together a long time. There's only 4 reasons why I won't be adjusting you one day. I move, you move, I die, or you die. Other than that, we're
yeah,
going to be together a long time.
right,
As long as
exactly,
I'm alive and you're alive and we live geographically in the
right,
same area, you're coming here every week. Now you move to another country, let's find you another chiropractor.
exactly,
But you're doing it the rest of your life. And that's why, when people say, well, when I go on vacation, we see less people and my associate doesn't see as many people. And it's like, what do you do? What are you going to do if I move out of the country? What are you going to do if I want to take a month off? So you're going to sacrifice your health just because you like me.
right,
Like, you must love me a lot. You're willing to give up your health and your life if I'm not here on Monday?
Right.
And the health and life of your family. Like, is that, and then I would ask him, is that love or is that kind of pathological? I'm just curious. Laughing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, brother,
It's
we
important.
could sit
Good
here
stuff.
and go on and on
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. Good
We
stuff.
always use the whole hour.
A lot of
So,
nuggets right there. There's a lot of, when you listen to this, we want you guys to listen and share, but sometimes some of these, you got to listen to a couple, 2 or 3 times. Cause you'll see Fred do that, or I'll do that. Fred will say something and, and I'll kind of go over it and look at it and put it through my portal a little bit. And Fred does the same thing. And you guys need to do the same thing when you're listening, because sometimes there's one sentence, one comment, one little
it
shift
changes
and that
everything.
little shift is life changing for you and the people you serve and your career for the rest of your career.
And your impact.
Yeah.
It's like career. Yeah, I mean, I know you use that word, and I totally get it. And it's like, man, chiropractic is never a career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the problem. There's one of the people that were at our seminar last boot camp. She's starting at NYCC here, and she just started, right? And they do the orientation and the first week in class talking to the other people, and it's amazing how many kids, call them kids, early 20s, are going to chiropractic school because it's a good job.
Yeah.
Nobody, when we went to school, went because it was a good job.
Exactly. Because they have
Everybody had a
experience,
chiropractic story, man.
family
Nobody
member.
went.
Exactly.
They, barely even knew the word chiropractic. Oh yeah, I think I've heard of that. Nobody went because it was a good job.
Yeah.
They all went because of purpose.
And then the other challenge is the school obviously is teaching it like it's a
Yeah,
job, teaching
I
it like
know.
it's a position. The principal is less. I mean, there's some schools that are still hanging on to it, but it is some people find it along the way. I did. I know a lot of my friends, people I work with, I know people you work with, they weren't always educated that way and they find it along the way. But that's why these calls, that's why this webinar, that's why, podcast, like surround yourself with as much of that. And all of a sudden,
Immerse.
Fred and I, things will start to change. And then, if not, you're seeing somebody 12 times for a backache, or you're joining a group that says, hey, come on in for, they're going to teach you to close somebody for, 60 or 90 days and then release them of care. And it's so incongruent with what chiropractic is and what we stand for and what the benefit is. It's mind-boggling to me. It's so easy. It's a lot easier for me, I think, to talk lifetime care with somebody than it is to convince somebody to come in for 60 or 90 days to take care of an ache or pain. So,
Yeah, because it'd be so against your mindset. It would feel
yeah,
like
I can't even get my head around
like
it.
a war. I actually have to try and do that. Lifestyle? No, that's easy. That's automatic.
Eat good for 60 days and then stop. You feeling better?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, don't
Yeah,
do it
good
anymore.
idea. Yeah, go
Hey,
do
you're
that.
exercising? Yeah, for about 60, 90 days, you're doing good. Yeah, stop. Don't do it anymore. Hey, chiropractic care, you've been feeling better? And I know you came on that shoulder, but your digestion is better and you're sleeping better. Yeah, you're doing really good now. Stop. Quit. Don't do it anymore. Like, how does that even make sense when every scientific study about the nervous system in a sick and diseased spine, and whether you're talking to Heidi Havoc, or you're talking prefrontal cortex, whether you're talking about cognitive decline and changes with vascularity, when you're talking about parasympathetic and sympathetic, thymus. I mean, you talk about any aspect of the body, it's benefited or affected detrimentally through sickness of the nervous system, and you involve yourself with that. It doesn't mean it's all encompassing. There's other things, but that's what you do. Why would you tell somebody to do that for a short period of time? It doesn't even make sense to me.
Well, what's funny is
It's
that's
malpractice is what it
yeah,
is.
that's how you would pattern interrupt anybody. So you go, and you went through this before. Well, dog, I think you want to come. Let me get this straight. Your ulcerative colitis gone, your asthma's gone, your body's healed. You heal and are functioning better, have more confidence in the strength and health of your body than you've had in 40 years. No, I think you should stop doing what got you healthy. In fact, don't even come in on Wednesday. Like they would
Exactly.
look at you like, are you
What?
crazy? What? And they would think, well, and they would probably laugh and go, or you're right. I'll see you 10:30 on Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, by the
yeah,
way,
yeah,
I'm bringing my son because he's got
yeah.
allergies.
My two favorite lines: how does doing less of what got you well keep you well? So, Fred,
Yeah.
how does doing less of what got you well keep you well? And the other one, when I'm in a report and somebody's not following along or they're giving me a lot of pushback, I just take the form, I go, you know what, Fred, forget this for a bit. Let me put this over here for a second. Let me ask you a question. How sick and diseased, degenerated, disabled, how horrible does your life have to be before it's affordable? Like, do you need to be in a diaper and in a wheelchair and miserable and on oxygen? And then you're like, hey, $3,800 seems like a good deal. Like, at what point of your level of sickness and disease do you have to be before you're like, yeah, I probably should do this? I mean, I don't know. You tell me. And it does get them thinking sometimes, like,
Oh, all the time.
yeah.
Cool,
So,
man. All
good
right,
stuff.
brother. Well, we've officially used our whole hour. Love you, man.
Love and appreciate you. Have a great one, Fred.
Yeah. Share, subscribe, do all the
Yep.
things. Please share. And we love you guys. Hey, we got more Italians lined up to interview. So
Yeah, good
that'll be
stuff
great
coming in the
too.
next couple of weeks.
All right. Peace.